Has this ever happened to you? It's 11:45 p.m. My local game store closes at 12. I haven't won a single game the whole night. I have work tomorrow morning, and on top of that, I'm expecting triplets. Except they're all ugly, and they want Omega Collector boosters for each of their half birthdays. My life sucks. Then, my buddy asks me, "Are you the threat right now?" A bead of sweat runs down my face. I glance down at my grip of cards and see the second piece of my infinite in my hand. I look back up at the card on the table. I gulp and then squeak out. No, it's obviously the Simic player. Why would I be the threat? Everyone at the LGS stands up and applauds. Congratulations! I'm now a sad excuse of a competitive player. I've successfully lied. But contrary to what your mom scolded you for years ago, is lying really all that bad in Commander? And if so, how do we use this tool to our advantage? If you also walk a morally ambiguous line with your gameplay or deck design, yeah, I'm talking to you Sliver players, welcome in. My name is really bad at Magic the Gathering, and today, I want to talk about the ethical dilemma of lying in the illustrious game of Magic the Gathering. Should we even be doing it? Let's be honest with ourselves. Lying is no accident in Commander, but rather a feature. Telling the truth within a Commander game, to the dismay of some, is completely optional in a few cases. EDH is 30% deck building, 30% gameplay, and 200% saying, "Trust me," while holding a Cyclonic Rift. But how do we become master manipulators if we don't understand the weaknesses of our opposition? Oh my god, this video is gonna be so good. First weakness, threat assessment. I'm sure you can think back to a time when a player across from you in your pod had a smothering tithe, Rhystic Study, One Ring, and a terrifying creature on board. And when it's the random's turn, before the scary player, they decide to single target remove your commander and blow up your soul ring. Once you've soothed your early onset heart palpitations, take a second to consider what went wrong here. The random picked the wrong player with their threat assessment. So why not make it even tougher for them next time? I'm not the threat. This is your gateway drug for lying in Commander. When a player says, "I'm not the threat," they are, at minimum, the second biggest threat. But more often than not, they're actually the apex predator of the table, in a sweater vest, sipping on their 5th glass of "I'm just ramping" of the night. However, if you can position yourself as that person, there may be a lot to gain. Let's say you have some key pieces to your game plan online. You have a good draw engine, a good sack engine, and a way to make tokens. Objectively speaking, you are the current threat. To manipulate the quote-unquote so-called free thinkers, the first step is to wait. Do not open your mouth until someone moves to remove something that you need on your board. You would be honestly pretty happily surprised at the rate at which people misplay removal in targeted attacks. If they're wheeling and dealing removal in other directions, keep sitting there and looking pretty. No further action required. However, if someone starts looking around and asking people, "Who should I blow up?" now it's your time to shine. Lean on your deep and expansive Commander knowledge to inform that player that the blue artifact dude is probably the problem. In other words, point the finger in the other direction. Hey, that guy has a soul ring. Hey, that guy has dramatic reversal and Isochron Scepter up. He's gonna untap 1,000,000 times. After saying this, there's a good chance that that person is now pretty mad. So now it's your job to not only sweet talk the person who's playing the removal, but it's also your job to sweet talk the person who just had their thing removed. Meaning, you're fully responsible. You gotta be the nicest player on Earth. For example, while playing a Squirreled Away deck, you could say this: Look, I'm so sorry, but I feel like this artifact player may be a bigger threat than me right now. While I do have these pieces on board, I'll be honest, don't got much in hand. That artifact player is going to start digging through their deck and copying 1 million artifacts soon though, and that's going to get out of hand quickly. I'm not the threat. Whoa, wait. That almost made sense. Why? The best way to manipulate and lie is Jesus. The best way to manipulate and lie is to only do it halfway. Base your lies on reality and truth, as you'll appear much more honest and wholesome than your evil mind is actually letting on. You know that your draw engine is strong right now. You drew really good cards. However, the cards that you drew aren't revealed information, but neither is the opponent's deck. So why not fearmonger? This works even better if you've sat down against this player before or seen what their deck can do. Use this information to your advantage, and you'll be able to start swaying the table slowly but surely. Here's another example. Uh-oh. Here's the ramp. 2 more generic, and they are 100% casting Darksteel Forge. Hold on. You don't know that for certain, but you don't need to know that. The other 2 players at the table will look fondly on this, and all of a sudden, with one gameplay callout that may or may not be right, you're all on the same side. Congratulations! You've officially dodged your first piece of removal and are well on your way to becoming a lying piece of... Lying in Commander comes in many flavors, just like ice cream, except the ice cream is made of spite and regret. We've already talked about dodging removal via the tried and true, I'm not the threat. However, what other lies can we add to our master manipulator arsenal, besides drinking matcha and listening to Claro? The harmless lie.
I'm just here to have fun.
Translation. I'm here to have fun watching you all lose to my Kiki Jiki combo. 99.9% chance I'm gonna dip it. That is probably the easiest way to make yourself a target in my books. Rarely have I sat across from a random at an LGS after the statement, and their deck has truly been for fun. Add this to your arsenal, especially when playing with randoms. Granted, once they discover that your deck is, in fact, designed to win, you may be branded a traitorous heathen for the rest of your life. The sandbag.
I don't have any removal in hand.
Translation. I have repeatable removal on the battlefield currently, and I'm holding 6 different types of counterspells in hand. It's not removal, it's interaction.
Right now?
Half-truthing is probably the best way to lie. Get into the nitty-gritty of definitions and details.
I told you I wouldn't touch your creatures, but your planeswalker is fair game.
I don't know why I turned into Kermit. While they may scoff, the other players will certainly appreciate your temporary breach of trust, especially if that planeswalker was a problem. This can even be extended so far as to not playing scary cards. Did you draw a turn 1 Soul Ring into Arcane Signet? Phenomenal. Don't play it. Why? The mental gymnastics of playing ramp really quickly can force everyone at the table to target you down. So the easy solution is to wait an extra turn or 2, and then once someone else has a big play, do it after. Next, we have the bluff by omission.
Yeah, I'm gonna pass the turn.
Translation, I'm planning on flashing in Ulamog. Inaction and the lack of providing information may be just as effective as rage baiting your opponents into killing each other rather than yourself. Land pass for 3 or 4 turns as you put on your best I'm sad face actually works wonders, especially once you draw into something juicy. Magic the Gathering is kind of like a game of poker, but rather than pushing all in on a pair of pocket rockets pre-flop, you're small beating until then. I'm just drawing lands and artifacts, I cannot do anything. And this extends to removal as well. Force your opponents to use their removal before yours by stating you don't have any, despite having it in hand. After all, why would you want to waste your own resources when you can utilize your opponents? Okay, to be honest, I'm painting a horrible picture of myself. I look like probably the worst Magic player known to mankind, as is probably alluded to with my channel title. I'm sure you viewers at home are looking at the screen with furrowed brows and a distaste for these pieces of advice. So now, regrettably, we're going to be talking about... Okay. Is lying in Commander wrong? Honestly, probably. That's it. Cancel the video. Delete the channel. It's derivative and hypocritical, and I hate you. While lying can certainly get you out of sticky situations, once you've been caught in a lie, it's very hard to bounce back from it and be seen as a normal player again. People will see you as the conniving and scheming politician you aspire to be. Because what's a politician good for besides lying? People will always remember the one time you lied rather than all the times you were honest. They'll be saving up removal for you, targeting you first in the next game, straight up ruining your experience and your ability to win, and probably make friends. So how do we manipulate this to work in our favor? Jeez. Easy answer. We won't. We'll be honest. But really bad at Magic the Gathering! You literally spent the whole video talking about why we should be lying! Yes. However, if you recall, I've also been sprinkling little nuggets of being honest throughout this video. Oh yes, while I've been teaching you to manipulate others for your own benefit, I too have been manipulating you, the viewer. It's manipulateception. More often than not, you want to be as truthful as a player as humanly possible. And this means making sure to never lie about revealed information. Things like reveal tutors, playing with the top of your library revealed, how many counters there are on a creature or planeswalker, misrepresenting what your commander does. All of these things are a normal part of the game and should never be lied about. Seriously, don't do it. You're not being a sly manipulator, and you're instead just being a meanie. Instead, lay out your plan as forthcoming as possible. If you're playing a Tulane deck, like I once had, you explain, yeah, so I'm gonna cast Intruder Alarm, and just to let you all know, if I can cast Tulane from my command zone and use his ability to bounce a creature back to my hand, I will have infinite ETB triggers and draw my deck out. Explaining everything you're playing in terms of your deck's thing will be much appreciated, and not only help new players know what to remove, but they may actually start liking you as a person. Surprising for a Magic the Gathering player, I know. But what this actually does is generate goodwill and builds trust. You want as much trust between you and the other players as much as possible. Be honest about things happening on your board and your deck. I have a Hazel of the Root Bloom deck, and I always try to explain, hey, so this is a 2 because it has no game changers, but I do have edict effects, which will make this deck feel strong, and I modified it to include more tokens rather than just squirrels. Or for my Kalia deck. Yeah, so Kalia can get removed pretty easily in this deck, but I do get to free cast some scary demons and angels. It's up to you if you want me to play this. Or let's say you just tutored for a card. Oh, dude, no worries if you forgot what card I tutored for. It was actually a Craterhoof Behemoth. I'm happy to show you again. Having these extremely honest pre-game and mid-game conversations are tantamount to ensuring that people trust you and want to play with you again. Last disclaimer, listen to the rents. Lying is objectively wrong and you shouldn't do it. You will generate ill will and perhaps resentment from other people at your table if you lie all the time, especially if you're lying at your favorite LGS. Word's gonna get around and people will never believe you again. So play truthfully and only lie like maybe once in a game. That way it'll hopefully fly under the radar. And also, try not to lie about anything too big and crazy. I don't want to see
Can I go back and do something small? I forgot it.
Sure, man, as long as it's nothing crazy.
Okay, cool. I'm gonna cast a Blasphemous Edict.
If you want to lie small, lie convincingly, and make it an art form. Frown at your hand and complain about missing land drops. But no, once you start lying, the only thing that'll be more permanent than maybe your lands will be your reputation. So do good. Thank you so much for watching my third ever YouTube video. I recognize that this is probably like pretty controversial, so I wanted to do like a disclaimer at the end. Like, I hope you got that at the end of the video. Like, you shouldn't lie, especially to like your friends or people you play with all the time, but like, you can sandbag a counterspell every once in a while, you know what I mean? You can play a Soul Ring turn 3 and no one's gonna bat an eye, you know? So just, you know, be smart and be good. If you liked this video and want to see more of whatever I do behind the mic here, feel free to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. I especially want to hear your thoughts on lying in Commander. And remember, I am not recommending to lie about things like revealed information. Like, just, okay guys, be a good person. This is a controversial video, I'm sorry.